Good afternoon, brethren. Nice to see you all here. How is your inner core? Well, some of you might be asking, what is he talking about? Those that are athletically involved pretty much know what inner core is. The core is made up of four major muscle groups in the torso of the body. And it's kind of like a pop can. The top part of the core is called the diaphragm, which is the primary muscle group that helps us when we breathe. The back, the muscles along the back and the spine, are called the multifidus, and those that are medically trained may help me pronounce that. The sides and the front, I'm still lost here. The sides and the front of the pop can are called the transverse abdominis, so basically the abdominal muscles. And then the bottom of the torso is made up of the pelvic floor muscles. So that makes up the center part of our body. And many of the physical activities that we embark on, simple things like house chores, working in the yard, garden, athletics especially, running, sports like tennis, all require a strong inner core. And in fact, to succeed in anything that involves physical strength, a strong inner core is a must. Even the Apostle Paul used athletic terms regarding spiritual success, like run, fight, wrestle, persevere, discipline my body. In this sermonette, let's see how important our body's inner core is, and then liken that concept to a spiritual core. Those who succeed in honing their bodies to perfection give priority to strengthening their inner core. And there's four major benefits from having a strong core. With a strong core, it can assist other muscles and help them to avoid injury. For instance, the back. With strong abdominal muscles, it can help spread the load throughout other muscles in the body, kind of sparing the back. Another benefit is it stabilizes the body. When the core muscles contract, the rest of the body has a nice stable position. And when the core is strong, the rest of the body tends to be strong too. Another benefit is that it protects our inner organs. So many of our major organs and veins and arteries are based in the center part of our body. So keeping the strong core muscles helps to protect the inner parts of our bodies each day. The fourth benefit of a strong physical core is confidence. When you feel strong, agile, capable, you live a more confident life. You're less fearful of challenges and able to handle things that come across that you face each day. So the four major benefits are assist other muscles in the body, they protect the inner organs, it stabilizes the body, and it gives us confidence. Common symptoms of poor health usually lead to a weak inner core. And that's the reason a lot of physical therapists kind of focus on the core to strengthen the body. And it's also a basis for a lot of low-impact isometric programs like Pilates. Having a great physical core, strong body is good, but how about comparing these things to our spiritual lives? How important is a strong core to the members of the bodies of Jesus Christ? A strong core is far more important. Why? 4 reasons I came up with. A strong core of spiritual understanding and character is the center of who we are before God. It gives us a strong posture for standing up for God's way in spite of Satan. Ephesians 6 verse 10 says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might." It also gives us courage as we strive to do what is right by God's definition. God's leaders are strong. They have to be strong. They have to be strong from the inside. And that helps them to provide strength to the rest of the body. You know, we watched this video a couple weeks ago of Abraham Lincoln, and to me, he's a fine example of somebody who had a strong ethical core. In the speech that he gave on Thanksgiving Day, proclaiming it a holiday, what a courageous thing to say. I mean, it was amazing how much faith he had in God. Could you imagine any of our leaders today saying anything remotely close to what Abraham Lincoln that day? Not a chance. And he had a strong ethical core when he fought to free the slaves and actually lost his life standing up for what he believed. Are we ready to do that? You know, our prime example as Christians is Jesus Christ. He's a prime example of a strong spiritual core. He stood up to Satan and all the temptations that were put before him. And then he was horribly beaten and scourged to death. But he died standing up for God's way of life. He died standing up for what was right. He didn't cave. So let's discuss some areas of focus that I believe make up our spiritual core. The first one is we can strengthen our core with obedience, therefore loving God. If you would, turn to 1 John 5, verses 1 through 3. 1 John 5, starting in verse 1, reads, "Whoever believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God, and everyone who loves him who begot also loves him who is begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not burdensome." Christ says several times in the New Testament, if we truly love God, we will keep his commandments. The commandments need to be on our hearts. But how often do we compare our daily actions with each one of the commandments? Just a couple of examples. The second commandment, taking the name of the Lord in vain. Do we analyze our vocabulary and how we talk each day with that commandment? Do we say things that are maybe remotely refer to God in a way that doesn't quite glorify him? I recently listened to a sermon by Rick Shaby, who's a pastor of the Orlando congregation. He gives a fine sermon on this very subject. It's very good. I would recommend it. Another example, sixth commandment, thou shalt not murder. 1 John 3, verse 15 says, "Whoever hates his brother is a murderer. And you know that no murderer has eternal life abiding in him." Again, not the act of actually killing somebody, but hating somebody. Things that we need to compare each day. But knowing God's laws and what we are to do is one thing. We also need to focus on things that we aren't supposed to be doing. This isn't easy because sometimes it reveals things in us that we don't really care for. Some examples are Galatians 5, verse 16 through 21, which describe the works of the flesh. We've heard quite a bit about that lately. And also Proverbs 6, verse 16, 7 things that God hates. That too has been covered recently. But do we take each one of these things written and compare them with how our actions and how we act each and every day? To me, this is a key thing to building good spiritual growth. The other area of focus, I believe, as part of our core is the truth. We strengthen our core beliefs by focusing on God's truth. What is the truth? John 14, verse 6 says, Jesus said to him, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me." Jesus Christ is the truth. Everything he spoke is the truth. The whole Bible is the truth. You know, if you go to UCG's webpage and up in the search box type truth, you'll get over 6,000 results. So there's tons of literature and information on the UCG website about truth. We were handpicked by God and given the truth. That's a blessing. That's a gift. We need to nurture that and cherish that. Other churches don't have the truth. We're one of billions that do. Others that occupy this building, community churches around the area, they don't have the truth. We have the truth. To me, that's very exciting. If you would turn to 2 John, and we'll read verses 1 through 8. 2 John, starting in verse 1. Here he's talking to the church. He says, "The elder to the elect lady and her children, whom I love in truth, and not only I, but also all those who have known the truth, because of the truth which abides in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace will be with you from God the Father and from the Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of the Father, in truth and love." Verse 4, "I rejoiced greatly that I have found some of your children walking in truth, as we received commandment from the Father. And now I plead with you, lady, not as though I write a new commandment to you, but that which we have had from the beginning, that we love one another. This is love, that we walk according to his commandments. This is the commandment, that as you have heard from the beginning, you should walk in it. Verse 7, for many deceivers have gone into the world who do not confess Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist. Look to yourselves that we do not lose those things we work for, but that we may receive a full reward. This kind of sums up my whole sermonette, really, in just these 8 verses. Powerful. The third area of focus is we should strengthen our doctrinal foundation. The word doctrine is a noun meaning a belief or set of beliefs held and taught by a church, political party, or group. How often do we review our doctrinal beliefs? We kind of view them as simple. A lot of us have been in the church for many, many, many years, all our lives in some cases. Do we ever go back and review the basics? The church has a booklet, and in fact I saw it in the lobby last week, the Fundamental Belief booklet. Good to just go back and review some of that. Let's turn to 2 John 1 now. 2 John 1, verse 9 through 11 says, Whoever transgresses and does not abide in the doctrine of Christ does not have God. He who abides in the doctrine of Christ has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring his doctrine, do not receive him into your house, nor greet him. For he who greets him shares in his evil deeds. That's a little alarming to me. A strong doctrinal foundation will keep us stable, especially when the winds of doctrine blow through. We will be able to stand firm with our beliefs, our challenge, like so many before us have throughout the Bible. Hebrews 11 is a good example of several that have stood and died for what they believed. Loving God means so much more than just appreciating his blessings. It means internalizing his truth, our beliefs, and obeying his commandments, being at one with God. None of this is easy, just like physical workouts aren't easy. But we got to work hard, and we have to sweat out those toxins. Make time. Pray for God to help you make time to pray, to study, to fast. And I mentioned 4 benefits earlier of a strong physical core, and we can put those same 4 into context with the spiritual core. A strong spiritual core will help us in assisting others and our families, as leaders of our families. If we have a strong physical core, we're a good example for our children. They too will build character and will grow in the Spirit. If we build a strong foundational core to help protect our overall spiritual health, which to me is key in this time, in this age, when we're being attacked. It will also draw us closer to God and strengthen our discipleship. How important is that to God in his plan? To me, it's huge. It will help us to build confidence in our spiritual beliefs and have the ability to challenge wrong beliefs and doctrines. Being strong, we can challenge anything we face. Strengthen our spiritual core has to start with our hearts. We have to have a desire for it. If we don't exercise it, we grow weak and soft, and we're subject, and we're vulnerable. Labor in the Word. Read, listen to sermons online from other church areas, and benefit from the broad knowledge that's out there. But stick to those that have the truth. Use the ordained ministry as God's true church as your personal trainer. God gave them to us, that he blessed us with teachers, with leaders. Use them. Don't trust outside sources. Work out with a fiery approach. Feel the burn, so to speak, and reap the rewards of God's blessings and protection.